You know all those Scooby-Doo direct-to-video films that nobody really talks about even though they're really interesting? Well, I have compiled a list of the 4 best, in my opinion. Fourth on that is Scooby-Doo and Where's My Mummy? This one is a very interesting case because out of the 4 on this list, it has the most unique twist. It's not the kind of twist that you would expect a movie to have, especially a Scooby-Doo movie, but once you think about it, it does make sense. And the reason I say that is because the 4 on this list all have original twists. Like, they use the Scooby-Doo formula for their own ends, and they do it in very interesting ways. And I think the twist that this one comes up with is easily the best, but the reason it's not at the top of this list is because of the plot. The film opens with a exposition scene explaining the fall of Egypt under Cleopatra's reign, which, okay. So it's revealed that Cleopatra's tomb is the Sphinx. So we begin with Velma in Egypt examining the Sphinx and finding an Ankh in the Sphinx. Like it's just embedded into the stone. Apparently Velma is here because her friend is leading this... What's the word? So the Ankh just magically opens the tomb. Yeah, that's a thing that happened now. We now cut to the actual Scooby Gang on their way there to give Velma, like, a surprise visit, which is nice. So a bunch of these people just show up on camels for some reason, and they guide them to the Sphinx. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it'll be important later. This is the point at which the plot sort of kind of loses me. So it turns out that the River Nile is, like, dried up in this area or something? Sure. Okay. Again, this will be important later. It's just that the plot does not really make sense. So the gang is interrupted by this reality show host who is trying to film a thing about the Sphinx. Apparently he thinks it's haunted. I think he stays with them for a little while and then just sort of vanishes. So the gang actually arrives and surprises Velma. So, yeah, woohoo. They're together now. So then a bunch of dudes on motorcycles just show up. There's a helicopter. These 2 explorer people show up. I guess they're like a higher tech version of the people that were already there. This movie has this whole theme about modern technology not respecting history or something, even though that's not really the case, but sure, I guess this movie has a theme which is different than the rest of the Scooby-Doo movies. So the new explorer group just explodes their way into the tomb. I timed that really well. And then immediately after that, there is a sandstorm that just forces everybody to get into the tomb. And at this point it's been revealed that there's this curse or something on the tomb that is going to turn anybody who enters it into stone. So when they finally do enter the tomb, they find the leader of the expedition turned into stone because, yeah, that's obviously what's going to happen next. So the gang and the other expedition decides to go find another way out. There's that creepy shot or something. Oh, that's cool. You know what? No. I'm not going to mention why that's cool, but that was cool.
Sometimes for sure.
The gang are ambushed by this gigantic mob of mummies. Because this is set in Egypt, so there's mummies. A chase scene ensues, and all the things just sort of happen that you would expect to happen. The gang gets split up, Velma loses her glasses, you know, classic Scooby-Doo or whatever. So that whole diversion leads to Velma being turned into stone. I'm not joking. At this point I'm just going to tell you the twist because this is the part at which the film ever does anything with it. Because past this point, it's just, Velma isn't there, and that's the plot, basically. So, at the end, it turns out that Velma did it. I don't know what I need to say about that, because, like, yeah, You wouldn't expect that to happen in a Scooby-Doo movie, but here it is. So after the chase scene, Shaggy and Scooby-Doo end up at like this cult dedicated to ancient Egypt by a bunch of nerds. I'm not making this up. You can see it happening right now. I wish I was making this up. And this will be important for the plot. Oh my god. So basically the cult thinks that Scooby is their god. I really wish I was making all of this up. But this is what happens in this movie. So the ghost of Cleopatra shows up and just summons a massive swarm of locusts. I guess that's supposed to be a reference to the 10 plagues. But like, I don't really get it. I'm sorry. So it turns out that the cult leader guy who thinks that Scoob is a god has a giant monster in a cave. So Daphne and Fred end up with that one guy from the beginning that led them to the Sphinx. I said he was going to be important, and I was telling the truth. Here he is. They're on top of the Great Pyramid of Giza for some reason. So Shaggy and Scooby are led to a reconstruction of the Colosseum where they have to fight the giant monster. Why? Why is any of this happening? So it turns out that the giant monster is a robot. Because, like, that was literally the only explanation for it. So, yeah. I mean, I guess it's a mini Scooby-Doo mystery, but it's just so over the top. And then the gang is reunited, except for Velma. It turns out the guy from the beginning is some sort of undercover cop, and he's busting the religious leader guy, who turns out to be a fraud, who was diverting the Nile for reasons. So they have to go back into the tombs, and they find the camera dude from the beginning is petrified because, yeah, the movie literally just didn't have anything to do with him. So they just didn't do anything with him. I mean, after watching Into the Storm, I kind of agree. So it turns out the mummies have captured the, I don't know, the explorer people that had the better technology for some reason. Again, this is the part where Velma did it, and this sort of brings up that whole theme of new technology not respecting the old ways, but again, does not work. So after another chase scene, Shaggy and Scooby find a room that has all these plaster cast replicas of all the people that have been petrified at this point, and they figure out that, oh yeah, those are fake. The ghost of Cleopatra essentially forces high-tech explorer lady to just, like, stop. So the gang and all the nerds from the replica city invade and attack all the mummies, because we needed an action scene to end this with. So here's an action scene. You're welcome. Explorer lady finds the place where Cleopatra's tomb actually is, as well as all of Cleopatra's treasure. So that's nice. In another chase scene, the roof collapses and it floods because the Nile was diverted there. Yeah, it just brings that back up from the other subplot. So the guy from the beginning captures the high-tech explorer lady, and yeah, that's what happens to her. He has no reason for capturing her, but he does. So the gang unmasks Cleopatra's ghost, and it's Velma. I don't know, I just love this scene. Everything about this scene is really clever. It's a good way to reveal the twist. So yeah, Velma just reveals to them what happened. Basically, they got the excavation team. That's the actual word I was looking for. They got the excavation team to dress up as mummies to scare away the explorer team, as well as the gang, and then the cameraman was apparently on their side the entire time, because he wanted to, like, put this story on the news, and he did that. That's it. That's where the movie ends. And like I said earlier, the reason it's on here is because it has a really clever twist. I really like the twist, and it makes the movie much better, even though otherwise it would just be kind of average. twist absolutely elevates it up to 4th spot. I might have wanted to do 5, but I was not willing to put in that much time to Scooby-Doo movies, so you're just getting 4.
All the old